Good morning. It's Tuesday, March 8th, 2016. This is Tech Talk Today, episode 235. My name is Chris. That's my dramatic opening of my beverage.
That was ridiculously perfect.
Good morning, Ange.
This is Angela. Wow.
Yeah, I got to open up my caffeine beverage for the start of the show. I know, that's a real sound effect there.
Yeah.
So we have a bunch of stories to get into today, and we have our Kickstarter of the week for this week's edition of the Tech Talk Today program. But you know what we got to do first?
Introduce the experts.
Our secret weapon, as it were. Time-appropriate greetings from Mumble Room.
Hello.
Hey. Hello.
I love the variety. Hey.
It's good. So we're going to just bust through a couple of stories right off the top, which I don't expect the Mumble Room to have too much to say on it, but if you guys want to chime in, you can. Otherwise, I'll just bust through these first two stories really quick as mostly an update. The first one is to our U.S. audience. The IRS, and this is sort of tax season, so I bring it up, is suspending their insecure Get PIN feature, which we've talked a little bit on TechSnap about. Citing ongoing security concerns, the Internal Revenue Service has suspended a service offered via its website that allowed taxpayers to retrieve a so-called IP protection pin, or IP pins. These are codes that the IRS mailed to some 2.7 million taxpayers to help prevent those individuals from becoming victims of tax fraud for 2 years in a row now. Now, them shutting this down comes just a couple of days after Krebs first reported on this. You see, the problem was, Andrews.
Well, wait.
Go. Lay it on me.
Right. So, what are they saying? That they're going to tie their IP address to that
IP
tax
as
return?
in like your personal information, not IP as in. Yeah, I know that is confusing.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't understand what. Okay.
So what was going on is a lot of tax frauds happening, and
Right.
so the IRS is like, well, what we're going to do is we're going to give you a super secure PIN system that you can use, and this will be what you identify. You literally put it on your tax forms. When you go to the website, you log in with that. You put the PIN code in there. I mean, it's like
that's interesting because like everything does PIN codes. So if it's failing, like that's kind of interesting because like student loans, you have PIN numbers.
Different. So here's why there's this failing. And see, this all comes down to the implementation.
Okay.
This is the flaw. So here, I'll tell you a little bit more about it. So 2.7 million people had it, right?
Yeah.
Came in the mail. About 5% of those, approximately 130,000, were used to try to get people's like forgotten PIN numbers and stuff. This is where the issue was. When you forgot your PIN number, then this is where fraud could happen. Like 800 fraudulent returns were used. People got money. The problem is they were stealing people's tax refunds. And the way you got these PIN resets is you answered questions on Equifax. These are so-called knowledge-based authentication or out-of-wallet questions that focus on things like your previous address or loan amounts, like which one of these loan amounts was the correct loan amount. And then when you answer those questions correctly, it proves your identity. The issue there being any really motivated identity thief could get the answer to those questions.
I barely know the ansers.
Well, there's that, too.
Because I just went through this, just to pull my free credit report, just to see what's on it. And they are hard questions.
Well, it is
multiple choice.
Unless you know your target. Like, it wouldn't take a lot of research for someone to figure out your previous address and dig around a little bit.
Yeah, but they do it. They're pretty. They'll like leave off part of your real address, and we've had multiple addresses, and I don't know. And sometimes they say none of the above, which is a good option.
So what Krebs is pointing out is if you could get some basic information about the person, like previous addresses, you could also get answers to other things like possible loan amounts by using tools like Zillow and whatnot.
Oh, sure.
And then just take some rough guesses and attempt to. So this PIN system is getting abused, and so the IRS is just shutting it down altogether right during the tax return season. Yeah. More coverage on TechSnap about that. And then one more story before we really get into the main meat of the show today. I thought this was kind of interesting, kind of along the same lines. Facebook has just fixed a bug that allows anyone to reset anyone's password. Yeah.
Wow. Well, no wonder that so many people were being. Wow.
Now, here's the cool thing, though. This is why this made a story here. Facebook is paying $15,000 to an independent security researcher who discovered the way of doing this. So they're paying.
Yeah.
They have a bounty
the royalty bounty. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. They have a bounty program, and
that's cool.
They do seem to actually be pretty good about it most of the time. I guess it was a brute force protection limit, which was not active on Facebook's beta platform, which was accessible on beta.facebook.com. So it wasn't even necessarily rolled out to the main public yet, but he was on top of it.
Nice.
On top
15,000
of
is a nice payday.
So there you go, Mumble Room. Your Facebook accounts remain a bit safer from at least everybody but Facebook. Yeah, and everybody else on there. I tell you that Facebook, Ange.
I know.
I've been taking a break.
I know.
Is it weird? It's like I go off the
Oh
grid.
no, I have been posting so much crap that you haven't seen. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like, he won't see this for at least a month. This is okay.
That's funny. Well, that is every now and then I wind
I'm
up on there.
totally joking.
Every now and then I wind up on there either because there's like a group, like there's a 1,000 Trails group that.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's neat.
Yeah.
There's things like that. Yeah, So anybody on the Mumble Room quit Facebook? Been on Facebook and then quit it? They're all still.
I'm on Facebook, but I probably should quit it.
Yeah, I know you're on there.
Yeah.
I feel like Hey Citizen tried Facebook once and then bailed. I feel like he's still active. Come on,
I'm unfortunately still active.
Unfortunately.
What draws you to Facebook?
My family.
Yeah,
That is the thing.
I know.
That's what makes Facebook stand out from all the other networks.
Except that you've kind of gotten family to go by the Telegram side, you know.
Core family.
Core family, yeah.
Yeah, but it's really the extended family and cousins and stuff like that
Right.
that you don't really see on a regular basis that are on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, and they schedule meetings and events, and they don't use anything else.
Blaster says there that's true too. Blaster says he's been off Facebook for years. He's been off the sauce for years, he says. Hi, my name is Blaster, and I've been off Facebook for 2 years, 3 days. Rikai says family and friends on the coast, or on the East Coast, or why he's on still, yeah. And I probably should. I feel a little negligent. I feel like a bad family member for not being on there, just a little bit. But at the same time, I've learned too that people get a picture of your life and then they just sort of fill in all of the blanks,
Right.
and they don't always do it in the most charitable way. And I would rather just not give them the building blocks to build that narrative anymore. And Facebook's just kind of a creepy platform to begin with. Speaking of creepy, last week our top story was Apple in this court case about getting access to a drug dealer's phone.
Right.
And
Wait, a drug dealer or a murderer?
Well, this is the problem. Is I was so excited to talk about the overall case that this was just a footnote. The actual specifics of the court case we talked about were actually a drug dealer's case.
Okay.
But it was an important precedent to set for the big showdown coming between the Apple and the FBI, between the Apple and the FBI. To go back to the case we talked about last week, the Justice Department has asked a judge to review the pro-Apple ruling and maybe reconsider because obviously this is going to impact their fight on unlocking the San Bernardino shooter's phone. So the victory we talked about last week may get overturned or at least reconsidered by a plea from the Department of Justice. The filing in Brooklyn, New York was expected after we had this ruling. I guess it's not too surprising. So we'll see what happens there, but I just wanted to follow up on that. In a 50-page ruling last week, you remember the judge said that the Justice Department's use of the All Writs Act of 1789,
which is amazing,
to compel Apple to help investigators open a smartphone was unconstitutional overreach.
Love
Congress, he found, had specifically considered granting such authority to the government, but decided not to do so. But the Justice Department's asking to reconsider. And we'll see. The more I watch this case, I think this might be one of the tech stories of the year. Mm-hmm. And it has, I think when you really think about it, you could take the word Apple out and you could put any other company in there, because really, if this happens, if they can compel Apple to create code to disable the security protections on the iPhone, the precedent that's being set isn't about compromising iPhones. The precedent that is being set is the FBI can compel a technology company to create code. That's the precedent that's being set. And it just needs a big enough reason. And we have lots of those all the time. So the reason why I think this is a huge deal is when you really, really zoom out, long term, this could be any phone manufacturer, this could be any computer, this could be any creator of encryption software, and they're setting the precedent to crack it. Mm-hmm. It's not just about the iPhone. That's why I think it's a huge tech story. Mumble Room, any thoughts before we move on the whole Apple FBI encryption, iPhone unlocking? Probably shouldn't say encryption, but we do. Thoughts?
His recommendation was to basically go back to Congress. Congress should make what the FBI wants lawful or not, but we should have a discussion in a world with smartphones. Yeah,
I think I was surprised. So I watched the testimony. It was 4 hours on the House Judiciary Committee on testimony on encryption and backdoors, and they had Comey there for the first bit of it, and they actually asked some decent questions. And then the second half of it, after their long-ass break, longest lunch break I've ever seen, they came back and they asked Apple's lawyers questions. And one of the last questions after 4 hours that they asked Apple's lawyer was, well, what would you like to see done? What would you prefer us to do? Did you have any bills to submit? And their answer was, well, we don't have any. No. No, we just want you guys to talk about this. We'll go with whatever decision you make. I'm like, oh, what? After all of this, like, you don't have, like, a proposal for, like, what should be done or how? Like, oh, Apple.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a bit of a bummer. I was expecting a good blow there, but yeah. I mean, he did make a good case for not doing it, but at the end of the day, Comey, the FBI director, equated it to two things. Do you want to live in a society where there are evidence-free devices that no law enforcement official can get into? So if your child's been kidnapped or you've been murdered, are you comfortable with the idea that you could have a device that is what he's calling an evidence-free zone, which is just brilliant terminology. That's just brilliant. And he says that the auto erase and delay for entering the 10 key, 10 or you're dead, 10 or you're dead, 10 or you're dead, kept saying that.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 or you're dead, 10 or you're 10 and you're dead, 10 and you're dead. The 10 and you're dead's code and the delay in there, he said, is equivalent to a drooling guard dog at the gate.
Oh my gosh. They
are just asking for Apple to remove the drooling guard dog, and they want to pick the lock. That's all they're asking for, he says.
Wow.
And what was great is one of the Congress critters asked he has some technology background, and he asked a great question that I just read a great blog post about. The iPhone 5C has non-volatile storage on there, think of like a computer's hard drive. There's a chip on the iPhone 5C motherboard that has the file system of the iPhone. It has the encryption key all on the same chip. Like if you took a hard drive out of your MacBook, they could take that chip, they could desolder it from the phone and put it in a reader, and they could make infinite copies of everything on that chip, and they could run concurrently thousands of cracks, completely bypassing the PIN code because they wouldn't be going through an iPhone. They'd be accessing at the file system layer. And the thing is if they could get access to the section of that chip that has the encryption key, because the 5C stored the encryption key on the same file system that was encrypted. The 6 and 6S move it to the secure enclave, or the 5S and above. The encryption key is stored in the secure enclave. In the 5C, the key and the file system are right next to each other. If you remove that chip and you put it in a reader, you could make infinite copies of it. You could run infinite numbers of attacks against it. And so this guy, the Congress critter, says, have you tried that? And Comey just, I think one of the challenges here is we're talking about data in transit versus data at rest, and so that's why I'm pausing. And then he just kind of wandered off.
Wow.
Yeah, so there is solutions out there with this 5C that exists today. If Apple never helped, they could do that. They just are choosing not to.
Wow.
All right, Mumbroom, any other comments on that before we move on? 1, 2. All right, then why don't we talk about something that you need to watch out for if you run the Mac. This is some Mac ransomware that's kind of getting a lot of attention because it's included in one of the open source community's favorite BitTorrent clients, Transmission. It is kind of nasty. So we came out on Sunday during the Linux Action Show. In fact, we had a caller come in and say, hey, have you heard about this Trojan? I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't affect Linux users. Whatevs. Hang up. But everyone running 2.90 on OS X should immediately upgrade to 2.91 and delete their copy of 2.90 if they're not going to use it because it has malware in it. If you use Activity Monitor in OS X, you can check whether any process named kernel_service is running. If so, double check the process, choose Open File and Ports, and check whether there is a file name like /users/library/kernel_services. And there's 2 slashes between users and the library. If so, the process is KeyRanger's main process. We suggest terminating it with quit. According to Reuters, Apple is aware of the issue and has already revoked the digital certificate from legitimate Apple developer that enabled the rogue software to install on Macs. So somebody used, that's an interesting point here. Someone used a legitimate certificate as an Apple developer. Now, Apple is able to quickly pull that and disable it from running active on Macs, but I thought that was kind of interesting. Now, this is the type of ransomware that encrypts a user's hard drive and then demands payment in order to unencrypt it. Could you imagine?
Wow.
Could you imagine how much that would suck? Yeah, it's a good test of your backup. So Transmission says the version 2.92 will also actively remove the malware. It'll
And
check
when you
your
say
system.
the version, is that the version of transmission or OS?
The transmission.
Okay.
So 2.91 fixes it. 2.92 not only fixes it, but also cleans your Mac up.
And transmission, like, I don't have that, right?
I don't know. Do you use any BitTorrent? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, probably not. Wow. Yeah, and who's pointing that out in the chat room right now? Renegade Dave is talking about... I think he's showing
Renegade
how you...
Dave.
Yeah.
I think it's Renegade DVI.
Yeah, well, I like Renegade Dave, though. When you think about it, right? He's a renegade. Poor transmission, though. A nice open source application. You hate to see it get compromised. And it feels too soon since Linux Mint just got compromised. And so it's like too much. It's too much. There's nothing sacred anymore. It's nothing.
Oh, it's Renegade VI.
I think Renegade...
And Devil.
Yeah, Renegade. I think Renegade Dave, though, is pretty good. Because yeah. Go ahead, hey citizen. You have a question?
Yeah, I was wondering, like, so is this like the same kind of attack that was launched on Linux Mint? Did they get hacked?
Yeah, it feels like that kind of a thing, doesn't it? So when I was reading about this, it seems like the transmission folks say they're going to do a big update, and as of this recording, I haven't seen that update. In there, they say they're going to give us the deets. However, Palo Alto Networks has some really good research on this, and it looks like it. That seems to be. They must have had their files, wherever they have this stored, compromised.
Yeah, because I feel it's all coming from Palo Alto Networks, and I don't feel like the transmission people are really addressing the issue.
No. In fact, I just saw a link this morning when I was reading up on this that somebody's saying they were being kind of obtuse about it. So I haven't dug that far into it. But the way Palo Alto Networks makes it sound, it sounds like it got swapped out on their download server like around 11 p.m. at one point. Several hundred like 6,000 users downloaded it in that time, and 6,500,
Wow.
and then it was fixed. But
How much money did they collect before it got shut down?
I wonder. I wonder if the bigger story here too is what's the point of Apple? So Apple has the system on OS X now for a while, where it checks the digital certificate It checks that, see if it's authentic before it can run the application. And that's actually bitten me twice on this machine here, because a couple of these apps here are from their Mac App Store. Mm-hmm. And sometimes Apple just craps its pants and forgets to renew the SSL cert or something like that, and my soundboard doesn't work.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like, enter your password. I enter my password. It's like, enter your password. I enter my password. It's like, enter your password. I enter my password. It's like, enter your password. And I'm like, oh, I'll enter my password. Oh, it's broken. Yeah, and then there was another update just recently that broke the Ethernet on Macs. And,
nice.
Yeah, and then those people couldn't run their apps, and yeah. So then I entered my password. So yeah, I'm surprised that there's all this hubbub about paying Apple and being signed, and then this guy can just still do this. I want to hear more about that too. I want more people to talk about that. So keep an eye out for that story. Be a good TechSnap story to break down later. You know what I mean, Andrews?
Yep.
Mumble, any other thoughts before we move on to something kind of gross? Kind of gross, and guess who found it? It's kind of nasty.
In our STEM 13 report tonight.
Oh, a STEM 13 report. So Ange brings us a STEM 13 report. Brace yourself. This might be the clip that gets us taken down from YouTube.
Well,
but
we don't have to play it. Or, I mean, we
Teaching
can.
anatomy without
play a little bit.
touching a body. It's done by an interactive virtual dissection table. Maria College in Albany is the first to offer this to local students. Benita's
Oh, I like their motion templates here. These are nice.
The benefit to having the tables is really profound.
So they have a touchscreen
The
table.
anatomage table is what Dr.
Digital
Stephanie Hutchins
cadaver.
is talking about. And Maria College is the first in the capital region to have this technology.
So it starts with a body with skin, and then they can remove layers of the skin.
They can perform surgeries. They can do a lot of things. And these are based on real cadavers. A real cadaver was scanned in.
They're able to study real human anatomy on real cadavers that have been digitized without the excessive cost that's being associated with storing these.
Oh, yeah. I guess that'd be the hardest part about using actual
Right?
cadavers.
If you accidentally make a mistake, you can just undo. Whereas with a real
Life-size
cadaver, you
iPad.
can't.
Students can zero in on particular
So
parts
they're
of the
using
anatomy,
touch
from the
interface.
hearts to lungs
I see
to
a mouse on the
musculature.
screen.
They can
Yeah,
move things with the
it
flick
literally
of a finger.
seems
Take
like two
photos if
TVs.
they
You see
work.
the-
And as
Yeah,
Hutchins
the
says,
split down the middle.
you get
Yeah.
do-overs.
Good catch.
Not possible with a real cadaver.
If they make a mistake on when during
Interesting. So they don't say what OS it runs. But
Because there's no muss, no fuss, all the work is immediate. allowing for more material to be studied in a shorter time frame.
Where they can really study the most anatomy in the most efficient use of their time.
But you never get that. Cadaver penis effect. That's a unique experience. Huh? Very cool in a way, and also it seems like maybe missing out. Like, here's my thing. I don't mind them. Here's where I'm going with this, Ange. I don't mind doctors, or learning, medical professionals to learn a little on this. Do 80% of your learning on this. I don't want you touching my body, though, until you've had some real good hands-on in a real human body.
For sure.
Especially if you're going to be a surgeon.
Yeah, but the point is that maybe they can go through so many hours of training on this before they move on to an actual cadaver, which is very costly to keep.
Yeah. I mean, Popey, you've got kids at home. What if you could have an at-home version of this? A nice educational tool, don't you think?
What, for my kids to cut up bodies?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
You've got kids. Do your kids do that? Is that the kind of... what is the American school system doing?
It's pretty bad. So.
Dylan's kind of obsessed with death right now, so I think it's possible.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say just reload
and bonus by the sound of it.
I'd say you...
What?
I say reload it with a different OS and just use it as a huge touch table, and then you're good to go.
Right.
That's what I would do. Yeah, all right. Okay, good find, though, Andrews. Good find. All right, so, Popey, this next story, did it blow your mind? Tell me, be honest, what was your reaction when you heard that Microsoft is announcing that SQL Server is coming to Linux? Your thoughts?
I literally fell off my chair.
We were recording Coda Radio. We stopped the show, and we were like, what just happened? It was kind of a perfect moment for it to happen, too. This is... Wow. The only thing that would be a bigger deal than this would be Exchange. And this is bigger in the enterprise, but I mean, just in terms of like things I never expected to happen.
Wouldn't it be good if Exchange did come as well? I mean, surely SQL Server is a dependency of Exchange. So having SQL Server first makes sense. They couldn't go, hey, you can run Exchange on your Linux box, but you've got to have it backed by a SQL Server running on Windows. So maybe, you could put this down as a prediction for next year. Maybe this year that Exchange will be available on Linux as well.
That would be mental. I don't know how I would be able to process that. Warhead, you think it was an obvious eventuality?
Yeah, it's one of those things when you look at the strategy that we actually have, everybody's like, hey, Microsoft is open sourcing Mana or C#, et cetera, those libraries for .NET. And if you have that and it runs on Linux, then they can bring their server systems, not necessarily the OS, but all of the bits that are ingrained in enterprise society at this point over to Linux. It's them accepting that Linux is an enterprise and world-class operating system to run their applications on.
Well, here's what melts my face is you can now write applications with Visual Studio Code, a Microsoft created and supported code editor for Linux. You can write open source C# and .NET code, and now you can use a Microsoft SQL Server backend for the database for that code. That's sort of nuts. And the thing is the SQL Server product is good. Like, a lot of people think it's a good product, too. So until now, SQL Server was strictly a Windows product. But Microsoft's executive vice president for its cloud and enterprise group writes today that the company has decided it's time to bring it to Linux. SQL Server on Linux will provide customers with even more flexibility in their data solution. Once the mission-critical performance, industry-leading TCO, and best in class, you know what TCO stands for? Total cost of ownership. That's one Microsoft's been loving for years. Once the industry-leading TCO, best-in-class security, and hybrid cloud innovations, like Stretch Database with its lets customers access their data on premises and lets the cloud get in whenever they want, low-cost solutions all built in, Microsoft's opening up access to SQL. Oh, that's a good play on Linux as it gets closer to general availability. They got more information for you guys coming out at an event for the next 3 days in SQL Server, SQL Server 2016 event in New York. So if you're actually interested, keep your ear out to the wires for that. And that's where you get more deets. Wow. That really is something. And I guess technically, from the way I understand it, SQL Server is and has been for quite a while architected in a way that makes this technically feasible. Like, I guess SQL Server kind of almost runs on like its own SQL OS. And on top of that, Microsoft has been making things less and less x86 dependent as they are working on things to run on Windows Core. So this has sort of been like some work they've been doing for the long term. What I find to be more impressive about a move like this is, first of all, at the speed at which Microsoft is rolling things out for Linux. Just really, they could have been done for the year, and I would have still been fairly impressed with what they've released, right? And then you combine that with the fact that means internally they are restructuring what their teams know, what they work with, what they're familiar with. There has to be an internal retraining, refocusing that is happening at the same time to match this publicly outward release. And that, for a company as old, the size of Microsoft, and sometimes historically not that fast to move, is pretty damn impressive. Like, that's the most impressive part of this entire story. Is in order to facilitate a release like this, there must have been massive changes internally at Microsoft. That's wow.
It was probably having a booth at Linux Fest Northwest last year.
You know, it might have been just hanging out with Noah and I that changed
right?
it all.
I think so.
We came over there. We take some good pictures. I must have done it, Andrews.
And they had some great swag.
It's a good call. That's a good call. All right. Any other thoughts from the Mumble Room about Microsoft SQL on Linux?
Not impressed.
Really? How come?
No, because Microsoft has spent the last 2.5 years, saying that they love Linux and they are trying to contribute code to the kernel, and they have been doing a lot of this very publicly. But at the same time, where is Skype 7 or Skype 6?
Yeah,
or Skype 5.
Yeah. Well,
it's like for 4 years we've had exactly one update to Skype, and that was to fix it when it broke completely.
Yeah, that's true. And it's like, hey, you turds, if you have some grand philosophy that justifies putting Visual Studio on Visual Studio Code or whatever it's called, or Visual Code, or whatever the hell it is, on Linux, then why the hell aren't you updating Skype? And now it's getting super pathetic. So if you expect people to develop and create applications on Linux, you don't expect them to need to be able to communicate, and don't you want them to be able to communicate with other people on the Microsoft platform? Like, the whole Skype dropping thing is, they must think they have something really up their sleeve with the web version, I guess. I guess that's what it is.
Which, by the way, still only works on Windows.
Yeah, I mean, Ham, it feels like Microsoft is real comfortable helping Linux on the server side because it's sort of a foregone conclusion, but they're not too motivated to help it on the desktop side, are they?
No, exactly. That's just exactly what I was gonna say. They're focused on the server, but they don't look at the desktop. That's crazy.
Guys, I've done this prediction before, and I truly believe Microsoft, in the span of 5 years, will use a Linux kernel with a Windows UI on
You
top.
have said that before. I recall that.
I'm sorry, but every direction Microsoft is doing is exactly to allow that.
Maybe, but here's the thing. No. The GPL is to Microsoft, man. That is, woo, look out that GPL. You know what Microsoft says to the GPL? No. Yeah, that's what they say to the GPL. They don't want that.
It won't matter. That's the thing. It won't matter because people will be using their products for the SaaS features, right?
Yeah,
Visual
maybe.
Studio actually is now very layered down, and you can actually test your things in their Azure platform, which runs Linux. They have contributions to the kernel, so they're getting familiar and getting control of the kernel too, so that they can have a say on the direction of the kernel, which is important for them. They have, their applications that they're buying from these small companies are usually Android apps. So this is also a plus there. Yeah. So in the end of the day, they're not supporting Skype because it really doesn't matter right now. They got deals in a lot of countries, for example, to be able to have Skype with free data. People are using it because it's free data for that app. And in the end of the day, people are using mostly on the mobile anyways. They are not really caring that much about the desktop because, the web.
And I know the numbers back up those decisions. It still burns us, though. Still burns us. Yeah, I will never be using this, I doubt. Maybe I'll try it out just to see what it's like, just because it seems like.
What does it mean to a dumb user or somebody that has no idea what you're talking about?
So, a big thing that was a huge pain in my arse during my consulting years would be you go into a place that's just totally locked into Microsoft. They have Microsoft everything, and everything has to run on Windows servers. So there's no real room to put a Linux box in there, even if it might perform a little better for them or have less security issues for them. And so now this means workloads in the past that could only run on a Windows server that required database functions can now run on a Linux box. So you could take, and the thing is
some
that
licensing savings and
for Windows,
performance
yes, but,
improvement.
Right. That means for your database server for Microsoft SQL now you get access to all the file systems that Linux has support for. You get access to all the different crazy cool configurations. And it means you can now put a Microsoft SQL server up on a DigitalOcean droplet And so people that have learned how to do things the Microsoft way, or people that just think Microsoft SQL is a competitive SQL server, can now use it on Linux instead of having to use it on Windows. And so it's really more for the server side of things. Yeah. Okay, Andrews. With that all discussed, you know what that means? It's time for our Kickstarter of the week.
Yep.
Angela picked this one out. It is the probably most applicable Kickstarter we've done in a while to all our audience. Everybody could use this.
Yes.
I would bet. It has 4,876 backers with 22 days left to go.
Is that USD?
Yes.
Okay.
It has raised $134,547 of... Geez, do they really only want $3,500?
Really?
What? Yeah, they only want... What? That's crazy. Anyways, it's called the LM Cable, the world's first iOS and Android common connector. And yes, they have a video.
Hi, I'm Julio, and I'd like to share my story with you. Nowadays, we use a wide range of products, everything from cell phones, smartphones, to even chargers. But the thing is, we don't always have the same cable, and not one cable to work for all.
All right, I'm gonna be honest with you. This music's a little melodramatic. This piano.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
The what is it called? Infomercials where they're like,
I know.
see how they can't pour out of. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's
gonna get better.
So I'd like to show you how my life was until today. Come on.
His very sad life. Sitting at the desk, his phone's plugged in. He unplugs it and goes to plug in his hard drive. What is it? USB hard drive?
Mm-hmm.
But he can't find the cable.
Oh. No.
And then he spills his drink.
And he's pressed for time now. It's time to go. But there's so many cords. The chaos.
So many things to unplug, and oh my goodness.
Now he's running late. He must have forgotten something. And he has an opportunity to meet a friend walking down the hallway, but his friend runs Android. That guy runs Android, so keep walking. That guy needs a charge. Oh, but he uses Android and he uses iPhone. Oh, now he feels bad. No friends.
How is this guy a functioning human being?
Oh, well, he got LM cable, and now everything's better. Yeah.
He's wearing a snazzier suit.
One cable hooked up to the hard drive, and now the iPhone. One cord. There's the beverage, not spilled. Cheers, everybody. And guess what? Now he's pressed for time. And it's so much simpler because one cord. One cord that plugs his hard drive in and his iPhone. And when he meets that friend down the hallway, he can help them charge. Here you go, friend. Plug this randomly into anything. What could go wrong? Fantastic. There you go.
Change the world.
Change the world with LM Cable, the world's first universal.
I like how he sought out a friend the second time.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're not going to come to me. I'm going to go to them.
The world's first cable containing a 2-in-1 connector that can work on both micro USB and Lightning devices.
So here's...
And you know,
so there's the...
we all have something to say.
Go ahead, Popey, then Daredevil, and then Ange. All right, Popey, go ahead.
So, A, this guy's a massive dickbag, but B, like, very, very soon, you'll be able to go on Alibaba or any other Chinese website and buy these things for $2. So, you know, why would I back this?
Yeah.
I'm going to go far. So now you're, used to using one cable. You lose and none of your devices work. I like that.
First thing I thought of with this is, what, do you want to, you go ahead. First thing I thought of with this was, Apple's never going to be okay with this. This will never be MiFi or whatever they call it, MiFi or whatever they call it, certified.
Yeah, well, and it's going to do the same thing that anytime you buy those cheap cables that Poopy was talking about.
This accessory is not supported.
Yes.
This accessory is not supported.
Right. And it's going to, because I've had one like that, and what it does, it just reconnects every, 15 seconds.
They do different ones. So I have one where I just unplug and plug and unplug and plug and unplug and plug, and then I unplug and unplug, and then I unplug and unplug, and I plug and I unplug, and then I plug and I unplug.
And then provide your password.
Yeah. And then it actually, clink, charging. And when it charges like an SOB. I mean, it's one of the fastest chargers I've ever, because it plugs right into DC. There's no, sweet juice, man. But this is, first of all, I don't know if you saw the picture of it, but it looks rickety a little bit. It looks a little rickety. I like that they have gold tipped with leather cords, though.
Yeah,
that S
that's
is
where
legit.
the money is.
Yeah, that is some legit S.
But
right
you know what's
there.
interesting is it's really interesting how it speaks to like the Apple versus Android friends and how they would need to share a charging cable, Like how often does that happen?
I don't know.
Does it? Like, but it does. It happened to me yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, I had a meeting and they were like, "Oh, do you want to charge your phone?" I'm like, "I have an iPhone."
Yeah.
So it was.
So the thing about the you see that right there?
Yeah.
What's it say?
What?
The battery.
100%.
Yeah, it'll be like that'll read 100% till noon.
Jeez,
and then by the end of the day, literally by like 6-7 p.m. it'll be like at 85% battery.
I charged on the way here. I'm at 98%, but my phone is 2 years old now.
Yeah, the 6S Plus. The pluses, they put a huge battery in this thing. I mean I literally can go 2 days without charging and still have like 40% battery. So this kind of thing here, this is not. I don't know. Warhead, you're kind of skeptical too, right?
Yeah, I mean we're reiterating the same thing. Congratulations, we now have a square and triangle wheel.
But hey, there's 2 points that I even see further. So first of all, at least in the EU side, the chargers have been standardized across the mobile devices. So nowadays anyway. This is one. And the second thing, aren't we going for wireless charging anyway?
Oh, true. And it looks like, so here's the thing. Oh man, this is a thing. So the chat room is pointing out that there's already a device that is available on Amazon for $8.95, and it is a MFI certified 2-in-1.
As in Apple has okayed it.
Yeah, as in it won't give you that. This device may not be compatible, and so it's a capped micro USB, and the cap is a Lightning port. And that's pretty smart.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'll put that in the show notes because that's 9 bones, 9 US bones.
It says it's MFI certified.
That's true.
It's not direct from Amazon. It's from a third-party seller. So I would take that with a giant pile of salt.
That is true. However, it does have 106 good reviews. But yeah.
Oh, there's a video.
Yeah, there is a video.
There's a video.
Oh.
This is a review of the Dodo Cool 2-in-1 Lightning connector.
Let's jump ahead and see if it works.
It's an 8-pin Lightning connector and a micro USB.
Man, you can make a video about anything.
And I'm going to see if it syncs.
All right, he's plugged it in.
Plugged into my computer's USB 3.0 port, and I'm going to plug it into my iPad Air.
You got black, not yellow like that.
And I'm going to see if it syncs.
Well, it's charging at least.
See, I have this cable plugged into a iPad Air and also into a USB 3.0 port on my computer.
I think one of the things, if it's not MIFI or whatever they call it, certified, I think data doesn't
higher
work.
quality wire than the other ones.
So we didn't
and the
find
lightning
out.
symbol.
Oh.
So this cable is not only capable of charging your Apple products, it's also able to transfer data to iTunes through your computer. Overall, I like this cable a lot.
Man, I can't believe you guys. I can't believe people out there still do that.
Much larger in diameter.
Do what?
Transfer to iTunes.
I do.
Woo!
Well, now it's interesting you say that, but given how much it costs for iCloud storage now,
that's true.
And you know, if you've got a big chunky device with loads of storage and you take loads of photos and video, you instantly get the little pop up. You're out of iCloud storage.
Yes, and it's super annoying.
Actually becomes more compelling to plug the thing into a computer and go, do you know what? I'll just send it down a cable.
And obviously, it's more secure. But for me.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah,
essentially.
And the thing is like if you do pay for the iCloud stuff, then you just plug it in at night and you're good to go. You just plug in your power and it backs up. Now the thing is, the restoration process from iCloud not so hot.
I bet.
Slow. You got to be on
restoration. Never. It's never.
It's
no
much
matter
better.
what.
It's much better from Internet Tunes than it is from iCloud.
Internet Tunes.
From the internet, it's better from Internet Tunes than it is from Internet Cloud. Gosh. Oh, the eye thing's getting old, right?
No, I think it's great.
Yeah? You like it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Any other thoughts on the Kickstarter of the week? Are we funding this or not? What do you guys say?
No.
I mean, not actually funding it.
Yeah, I'm not. My Android friends, they can just
No.
go without a charge.
Hey, wait, don't we have bigger batteries?
Yeah, I guess. I also, I guess I should give an honorable mention. There was a, I should save it. But there is
Also,
another. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, didn't Apple release that back thing that it's like a second battery that you just plug in?
The
Why would you need a
backpack?
charger?
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants that, though.
I know. You gave me one.
Oh, William
it's on my
bought-
desk.
What?
You gave me like a case. That has
Oh,
a
no,
built-in
this is
battery.
one made by Apple.
Oh.
Yeah, this is one made by Apple, like legit by Apple, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we had, there's another Kickstarter that we kind of floated around for a couple of days, but we ended up not going with it. that was sort of the same thing, a universal cable. So this is the problem. This is a nut, as they say, Ange. This is a nut that several people are trying to crack. And I'm trying to see if I could find the name of it, but
Wikipedia.
Yeah, here it is.
Okay.
Yeah, here it is. I found it. Rikai linked this up either. It's a MEEM, the world's first charger cable with automatic backup. So this is a little different. This is a sort of a different take on the whole idea, I guess. Oh, and they're funded too, with 48 hours left to go.
Hi, my name's Kelly Sumner. I'm the former CEO of the companies that brought you Grand Theft Auto and Guitar Hero. I want to give you 5 reasons why Meme will be important to you. The first reason you need this is not only does it charge your phone, but it automatically backs up all your memories and data into the cable. Secondly, what's important to you is all your precious memories and data under your control on your cable, not in the cloud. And the third reason is it doesn't matter whether you lose your phone is stolen, or your phone is damaged, or even if you're upgrading, Meme will always protect your data. And number 4 is once you've bought your Meme, there are no recurring costs or monthly charges. The 5th reason is if you want to transfer from old technology, Meme makes it simple. Or you simply want to upgrade your phone, Meme makes it simple. If you've backed up using Meme, all your memories and data are safe. Meme really does mirror your life.
How can it do all the different phones and all that? What do you think, Poppy?
So the thing I don't like about this is that it's like a heavy, big device attached to the cable, and the weakest part of, as everyone knows, of any charging cable is either end of it, right?
Yep.
So you've backed up all your memories, as he says, in a real sickly way, into this little device, and it breaks. The end of the cable breaks. How the hell did you get the data out of it?
You got to buy another one. Yeah, and you hope you don't need to restore then.
You're screwed. You can't get it back out because it's inside the cable.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I don't see how does it stay compatible with like future OS updates. Like how do I know that it's going to work between Android 5 and Android 6 or iOS 8 and iOS 9? How do I know that's going to be a thing? The idea is kind of interesting though, right? And they reached their funding. So it's MEEM. If you guys want to check it out, they have 48 hours left if you want to get one.
I think it's funny that they're like, get out of the cloud. Like, there's going to be a whole new group of products. They're like, don't be in the cloud.
But it is sort of an alternative to the Internet Tunes backup and without having to do the cloud backup. And let's see. Of course. Of course, prices are based on storage. Of course.
Right.
Yeah, of course. So depending on if you want Android or iOS and how much storage you want, the prices vary. But they're under $100.
I wonder.
There's not like a micro SD slot in it or anything.
No, it comes with built-in storage. But you figure your phone doesn't change either, so you get one per phone. Like it looks like it's about 56, 75 euros, or what is that in US bones? So it's about $130 to get a 32 gigabyte one for. And that's also a Kickstarter level. So it looks like it's about $80 to get a 32 gig Android one.
You sure? Because euro, I think, is just close to dollar, almost the same right now.
Yeah, well, they have. I don't know. They have the conversion on the page.
I can see this being a compelling device for people who want to back up, especially if you're out in the field and you're taking loads of photos and you've got no data. Like if you go on a camping trip or something and you take loads of photos, you just want to plug the thing in and it back up and you'd be safe, right? But I just don't like the design. I think that's just gonna fail. I would rather it was a normal cable that plugged into a plastic box, and that plastic box did the backup.
So, Warhead, you point out that talk about, physical security is super important with your smartphone, but now there's a whole other device you need to worry about physical security with.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You go to the coffee shop. Oh, crap, I got to charge my phone. You plug it into your laptop because you want to do that and charge it from your laptop so you don't have to worry about finding a port. And then somebody just walks by and yanks the cable and walks with it. There goes your entire phone backup.
Also, this is like the anti-LM cable. You can't share that.
Yeah,
Nobody else can charge their phone on that.
That's true. That is not a social cable. You're not making any friends with that charging cable. Wow.
You'll back them both.
Yeah. Right. I feel so bad now. You know what? I know what. Here's something you could fund. Patreon.com/today. Boom!
Woo, there it is.
Go fund the Jupiter Broadcasting Network. This helps us. We spread it around to the infrastructure, to our costs for things like maybe contractors, or maybe like buying some things for Linux Fest, like a balloon. Let's buy a balloon for Linux Fest this week.
I have some.
Yes! Fist bump right there. Boom! We've done it. Thanks to our patrons, right? Yeah, that's right. So I got a question recently about swag. You had a semi-recent swag update.
Yeah.
And I didn't remember how to answer it, but it came up during the last IRC.
Oh.
And the question was, has the latest swag gone out?
Not yet. No.
Soon then.
No, just in the next couple days.
Woo, that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a bunch of different levels over at patreon.com/today. The big level, the high level, is a swag level from time to time where we send out swag to our patrons as a thank you. Some JB stuff, some exclusives most of the time. Sometimes also some just like extra stuff that we've thought of just for you guys. Patreon.com/today. We also have lower levels. If you just want to support the production costs of our shows or help invest in our infrastructure, we have a bunch of different levels.
Or if you cord cut because our network provides your technology news that you really care about. Some people decide to donate because we're saving them $100 a month.
Or if you're feeling bad about not cutting the cord and you want to hedge your guilt. Right?
Nice.
That's right. Patreon.com/today. It works for me. Patreon.com/today. Thanks, everybody, for supporting the Joe Butter Broadcasting Network. Hey, that was kind of a good... that kind of sounded like an Irishman, didn't it? A little bit?
No.
Supporting the Joe Butter Broadcasting.
No,
Okay,
it
all
sounds
right.
like you have something in your teeth.
Oh, all right. Well,
you're trying to get spinach out while you
St.
talk.
Patrick's Day is coming up, so I was trying to get in the spirit, Andrews. Actually, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Is it on... What day is St. Patrick's Day?
The 17th.
Oh, okay. I was going to see if that was a Tuesday. That'd be fun.
You'd think he would know that because it was our wedding anniversary. That's when we got married.
Yeah, well, that's why I was asking. To be fair.
That's cool.
I just wasn't sure.
It's not like it, changed.
Well, that's why I wasn't sure.
St. Patrick's Day is always on the 17th.
I can't remember if it was one of those holidays that floats,
right?
Like your Thanksgiving, or what? No,
it's just...
I know. I can't keep it straight. Hey, Angela.
What?
Congratulations today.
I know.
Happy International Women's Day, Angela.
Yeah. And before you guys get all butthurt, International Men's Day is like November 19th.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like I should grow. And that's that's November.
We launched Women's Tech Radio on International Men's Day. Like the very first episode.
There's a UK comic, Richard Herring, on Twitter, and every year he spends the entire International Women's Day replying to people who are complaining, saying, "Yeah, but when's International Men's Day?" And he replies to every single tweet telling them it's November the 19th.
That's great.
Everybody should celebrate International Women's Day by going and listening to a little Women's Tech Radio.
Yeah,
right.
We're recording some tomorrow.
Oh my gosh!
Not live. So don't come here looking for it.
I almost had a kitten. Oh, I should mention too, Unfiltered is going to be on Thursday this week to make room for the ladies.
That and for the U.S. and those in other places that don't follow the U.S. daylight savings, that is this weekend.
Oh my God, that always screws last up.
I know, and it will. So just check the calendar. Just know that we're springing ahead, right? We're going to lose an hour in the U.S.
Can't do this anymore, Ange.
On Sunday.
I can't do this anymore. I can't. I can't.
Hold on, guys. Come on. There's just
no more daylight savings. Okay, no more. Okay. Well, that'll wrap us up for today's episode of Tech Talk Today. Tech Talk Today is live on Tuesdays. Go to jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar just to check in on us, to see what our production plans are, to see when we are going to be live. And techtalktoday.reddit.com is where you go to submit content to make the show even better or give us feedback. And don't forget, we do have that Mumble Room. We'd love to have you join us and give your thoughts on the stories. We just check your mic and then let you get in there and talk to us. All right. Well, I apologize in advance if this gets stuck in your head. I do think it's going to be a bit of an earworm. But if you're around the age of Ange and I, this was a classic. And I say that because now they've remade it and my kids watch an entirely new version of it, which makes me feel like an old man.